Hello, my name is Thelma Jones. I am a senior graduating in the spring of 2020 with my bachelor's in early childhood education. I currently work at a K-8 school where I work with the MTSS support team. MTSS is the multi-tier system support. We support students, I support students in the subjects of ELA or math. Basically, I pull students out of their classrooms into small group settings and I give them that extra layered support that they need in ELA and math. Um, as a result, it will help the students boost their scores in ELA or in math. Um, my personal education goals for myself are to receive my degree. I am taking this course in order to learn more about students who are emergent bilinguals. I hope to take away from this course some very useful information that would allow my students to be successful academically despite their language barriers. Um, Something about me and my interests. I have an interest in sports. I am currently a basketball coach. Um, I have been coaching basketball at our school for the last 3 years. We actually have a game on Monday, and I'm very excited about our first game. I also am a mother of four. I am married. I've been married for 10 years, and that's all about me. I'm gonna go into discussing Naito's readings. The readings that we had were actually very interesting. What was interesting is that some of the exact same things that I read about were discussed in a conversation that I had with a parent. The parent and I were discussing how children learn and how children learn from different people in different ways. Um, One of the main things that we talked about was the fact that as educators, it is important for us to build relationships with our students, get to know them. Getting to know students plays a major role in how they receive you when you're teaching and you're instructing them. And it's not just getting to know them in the beginning, you have to get to know them throughout the school year. You have to continue to ask questions about your students and their lives and the things that they love to do, and just ask questions. So I wrote down some of the key points that I'm just going to go into quickly. One of them, she talked about poverty, how race and um, poverty is a major challenge for how children learn. Poverty, you have some students who may not have had a meal the night before school, may not have had a meal that morning. Imagine that student in your classroom and you're teaching, and this student is just not able to focus. One of the reasons they're not able to focus is because they're hungry. Their stomachs are talking to them. Their stomachs are saying, I need something to eat. So they're thinking about food rather than retaining the information that you're feeding into them. So it's very important that we as teachers recognize certain signs and we try to do what we can to support these students. Um, Another thing that was discussed was honoring children's culture and identities. Very important. A lot of our students, especially here in Central Florida, they come from a variety of cultures. At our school, I've had the opportunity to work with obviously our Puerto Rican culture, but I've also had students who were Moroccan, I believe they were Moroccan, um, just asking questions about the things that they do and why and these are some of the older children that I'm asking questions about why they do certain things, because I had a student in my classroom who was in eighth grade, and he was fasting, and I had to understand it from his perspective, um, because I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking he's just a child. Why would his mom, make him fast like this? This is not, fair, and just I'm outside of the culture, so I don't understand. So he and I were able to have a conversation, and upon after the conversation, I saw it in a whole nother light. I understood. So rather than judging the situation from the outside, I dived into it by asking questions. So it's important that we honor our children's cultures by just um, getting to know them a little bit deeper. Another thing that Naito mentioned was at risk. And I know that's a common one. We hear that all the time, that his student is at risk, at risk. Now, as an educator, depending on how you perceive that term, you may take it with some of the normal stereotypes, or you may take it a little further. Normal stereotype would be classifying a student by their race. That means they're at risk. If they have a language barrier, that makes them at risk. Um, these types of stereotypes or terms can easily be misconstrued. So it's very important that when you use that term, or you probably shouldn't use it, but if someone uses it, I would say to dive a little bit further into it for a better understanding. Naito also mentioned, and it was very, very, very funny because I was very guilty of this one, learning to pronounce students' real names. She insinuated that it was small, but it made a huge impact. And I can recall multiple times because we have a plethora of Puerto Rican students, and obviously the way I would sound out their name in English is not the way it sounded in Spanish. So calling the roll, if it's a name that I could pronounce, I would pronounce it, but it would always be in English. So either the student would correct me, or I would automatically know to correct, or ask the student, hey, did I pronounce your name correctly? And they'll tell me, no, miss, but it's okay. And I would say, no, it's not okay. I want to pronounce your name the way, your mom or dad or whoever names you. So I would ask them how to say it, and then they would tell me. And after they tell me, I would repeat their name back to them, just to, verify that I understand. So I found that very interesting, that pronounce the students' real names is very important. Another key factor was, she talked about start from where they are, acknowledge and respect their identities, and their experiences rather than wiping them out. That's very, very, very important. Wherever you receive a student at, whatever level it is, be willing to receive them and meet them where they are. And then you can build on to what they already have, rather than saying, okay, no, you're doing this all wrong, or you've been this way, let's just start over. We don't want to start over. We add on to the confusion that's already a part of their lives. So I definitely like that key point, that was start from where they are. To end, I'm going to close with teaching, care, and transformation. She talked about how those two were closely linked. And it's very, very important that we understand why those things are closely linked. It's like you can't do one without the other. You can't teach a student if you don't care about the student. You can't transform their minds, bodies, and their, everything if you don't care about that student. So it's important that those three things go hand in hand. As educators, we love, and we teach, and we build relationships, and we build bonds. And it's just always one of those things that when you meet a new student for the first time, you immediately want to get to know them, or you want them to get to know you, or you want them to like you. The same way we want students to like and love us as educators, they want us to love them as our students. So let's teach with care. That's something I always enjoyed doing. I just really love getting to know my students and asking about their weekends and how was their whatever they, if they tell me that, hey, my birthday is on this day and I'm gonna do this and this, you better believe when they come back the next day or the over the weekend, I'm gonna say, hey, how was your birthday? What did you do? What was this? What was that? Because I let the students know that I am, excited, or I hear them when they talk to me. So for them to tell me that they had something going on, I want to follow up. I want to let them know that I am interested and I'm engaging in their lives outside of the classroom. That's how we build relationships. Thank you. Y'all have a great day, night.